Yeah, give up on getting everyone tested. And that's already, the president has already said everyone's not going to get tested. So let's give that dream up. That one's not, that boat sailed. That boat sailed. So everyone's, and again, let me say this to you. Think about this. If everyone gets tested, say you go in and get tested and it's Monday and you're feeling real good and you go into Walmart, Walgreens, Best Buy, Applebee's, I don't care where you go, and there's a person that's sitting next to you and they say to you, I got tested last Friday, I'm fine. But between the time they got tested and the time they bumped into you, they sat down with someone or coughed accidentally and someone they caught it, whatever, and now even though they got tested at that time, they're fine. Now they're not. And now they pass it to you. And even though you got tested, it may not matter at this point. So that's what I'm saying. They have to have, I think people are so anxious to get the economy going, to get sports going, and to get all this stuff going. I think there's a way to roll out people to go back to work, to get people getting income back in their pocket and getting income generated, which I think is obviously a must. But there's got to be a way to do this where you're not endangering everyone. And as much as I love sports, as much as I love covering sports, I just don't see where we as fans will go back. So how will it change? What will change in the future? I think we legitimately will see a year. Once they deem it safe for players to play, I think we will see a year of only games played with no fans. I think you will see it where there's only maybe necessary media there. I really do. I think the games that we cover, we unless they may send one person from ESPN, one person from Fox, one person from NBC, and then they're going to have safe distances to even interview players. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll all go to conference calls. Maybe what they'll do is, as we are doing, the Diamondbacks did a couple of Zoom meetings. Maybe after the games, that's what we'll do now. Maybe the players will go stand in front of a camera, and the reporters will have watched the games on TV, and they'll ask their questions via Zoom. I mean, those are some of the things that may end up just happening.
Yeah. Crazy.
And unfortunately, it's going to be that way for a while.
Unfortunately. As much as anxious as I am to have sports back in my life and to keep me from going insane, because sports are my sanity, but I'd rather be safe, have everybody be safe, because, like you said, and I even said it in the show, on the earlier show with you, for the sports cave, is you can be asymptomatic, and just like you said earlier too, you can be asymptomatic, not showing the symptoms, and you can be carrying the virus. You're fine, no anything showing, but then you can pass it on to somebody else, and now that person that was exposed to you or you exposed the virus to, now they're the one who is actually carrying symptoms, and they will have to get tested for the virus, and now they're spreading it, and so forth. So I rather stay away and be safe. Even with my family, I'm like, I'm trying to not, I'm like, no, I'm not going to come over. I'm not going to see you, and put those boundaries and those barriers there. Only go when I need to go to the store for food, whatever it is that I need, and that it's a necessity. Because and even for myself, when I go, I'm just like, how do I know that I'm not going to get anything? Or maybe I have the virus, I'm carrying it and don't even know it. Or maybe when I got sick in January, was that it? So, it's just better to be safe and sorry and don't have sports for a while. There's other things that can keep us busy, other things that are going on, still sports related, even though it's not the day-to-day fun that we like to see, and the game, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is. But But just wait. And eventually it'll come back, and it'll be without fans, and there'll be limitations, like you said. That's maybe a future we'll see Zoom interviews. Who knows? So, yeah.
Yeah, call me crazy. I want to live. I want to cover sports, but I want to live.
Mm-hmm.
So,
as much as I love sports, I love to live too. So I'll take my life over that at the moment. And even when this started, before having going to a shutdown and everything, when it was everything started to surface, it was during spring training, and I didn't go to games because I don't know, am I gonna be exposed? Is there somebody there that I know that I don't know that they have the virus, and then I'm gonna get it? Even at that point, I was just like, no, I'm gonna stay away.
Yep.
So, and before we wrap up and talking about changes, and this is just an addition that I had at the beginning of the show. So, Jackie Robinson, amazing, human being, amazing player, just everything that he did as a person and what he represents in baseball. Jackie Robinson Day, number 42, retired. The impact that it has not only in sports but in history. What do you take away from this day and from him?
A lot. I mean, see, here's the thing that I've always said. I don't think Jackie Robinson necessarily proved that black athletes can play with white athletes. I think deep down everybody knew that. They just need the visual of it. But what I think he showed more than anything was I can, in the adversity of racism, in the adversity of violence, in the adversity of threat, in any adversity you can throw at me, I can still uphold a certain level of tolerance and perform and never lose my dignity and always be a man. And most importantly, you can do whatever you want to me. You can say whatever you want to me. But every time you do that, it lessens you and it elevates me. And so from him, I take more than anything, not that he integrated baseball as much as, wow, this is a 100% man to show what I can accomplish in absolutely the worst situation. And I can pave a way for a lot of people because, remember, he wasn't the best Negro League player. There were other players better, but he had the right temperament and he had the right attitude to be able to set the example and lay the foundation. But the one thing Jackie Robinson never did, was lose his ability to be a man, to show his values, and basically to flip off everybody that says you can't do this. Because remember that Jackie Robinson after baseball was a lot more militant. And that didn't just happen overnight. That was him. But he was able to keep his cool and basically say, whatever you do to me, I'm going to continue to prove that you're an idiot. And I absolutely love that about him.
Yeah, you just nailed it, and that was perfect. That's exactly what I admire from Jackie, is just that. He just didn't lose it. And if you know his story, which many do and some don't, is just that adversity that he had to overcome and everything that he had to put up, not only throughout baseball and as he was coming up and all of that, but also just through life and during the times. And he's the first person that took that stepping stone in what he overcame before Martin Luther King.
Yeah, no,
making that much more of an impact. So, yeah, it's just, just amazing. It's not just baseball. It's not because of the player that he was, but because of the person who he was.
Exactly. And to me, that stands out and forever will stand out more. for what he accomplished and how he accomplished it.
Exactly. And with that being said, I'm going to bring something up, and it hasn't been brought up in some time, and it was a little bit of a fuss when it came about, and they were trying to do it a couple of years ago. With Jackie Robinson, the Latino Hispanic players, they have their own Jackie Robinson, which is Roberto Clemente.
Yes.
And retiring number 21. So there was a movement that was started, hasn't gone much further, and it kind of pretty much came to a stall. It's still kind of, something's trying to be done about it. But Roberto Clemente is also another figure. And just as Jackie Robinson, Roberto Clemente also experienced those same struggles as he did, and a little more differently because he comes from Latin America, being dark-skinned. When are we going to see the same being done for Roberto Clemente as we have seen for Jackie Robinson? Why not?
That's a good question.
You're doing it for Jackie, but you're not doing it for Roberto Clemente, who went through the same thing and did, I won't say did more, but it was just as an impact for this other type of community.
That's a good point, and I agree. I think the only reason why they would hold it up, and the only thing I could see, which makes no sense really, but the only reason I could see them arguing, which is kind of a weak argument, is he wasn't. I think Jackie Robinson gets that because he was the first. Maybe what they should do is, as much as Roberto Clemente means to so many people, and when you look at his life and see how he died just by doing, a charity event, a charity work for the island of Puerto Rico. So I think there's so much to that. But I think they don't hold it in the same regard because he technically wasn't the first Latin player. So maybe in saying that and doing that and honoring Roberto Clemente, maybe they do that and then also honor the person that broke through. And in all honesty, I'll claim ignorance on this one. I don't know the first Latin American player in Major League Baseball. And maybe they do something along those lines to show what he had to go through, because I'm sure there was a lot that came his way, especially if English wasn't the first language and how he got treated in some of those southern states. So maybe that's something that should be looked into.
Yeah, because Roberto Clemente, he does have his day, which is September 18th. We know that there were other Latin players, Hispanic players in the other leagues or in Major League. Most of them you don't know or wasn't known. If you were a Latin player, you were dark skinned, you played in the Negro Leagues.
Yes.
And we have there's this player, Pedro Sierra. He played in the Negro Leagues. He didn't make it to the majors until don't remember exactly when, but he didn't have that effect as Roberto Clemente did. Another Hispanic player is Ted Williams. I mean, if people don't know that he was Mexican descent, and there's players that have that had to go find their way to get into the game and to get into the majors. Roberto Clemente is that first player that you can say became known and became that overcame that adversity of being dark skinned, coming from a foreign country, speaking a different a language that was only Spanish, not knowing English, on top of many other things that you can add to it. And opening the door to Hispanic players, to non-Hispanic players, let's say, to play in the majors, get signed to the majors, is just as much of an impact as that he made as Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, and hopefully hopefully that day comes. I agree with you. Hopefully that day comes. Because, listen, I grew up